beautiful creatures. Today I have a review for you all of the Alchemist's Oracle Connected and Free by Lauren from Inner Hue. This is an independently published and produced deck, and this is the guidebook that comes with it, and this is the box that comes with it, and it is published and produced here in Australia. So for once I didn't have to pay exorbitant shipping fees or an exchange rate. If you've seen one of my other unboxing videos, then you know that I got this deck a little under a month ago and I've been working with it since I got it. And now has come the time for us to part our ways for a little while until it's time for us to work again. Yeah, I've just been recently feeling like maybe I've been working with too many decks at the moment, and my schedule, like going back to uni from next week, will be intense because it's going to be the last month of uni and I just need to focus on one or two decks. Because at the moment I've been working with 4, which has just been really crazy. So here is my little review and my experiences of working with this deck so far, because this is not the end of the road for us. So these are the card backings. As I mentioned when I did my unboxing, the card stock is spectacular on these cards. Like, they are so thick and sturdy and just really beautiful. See if I can focus in on some of these illustrations. So I was going to show you some of my favorite cards and some of, like I said, my experiences working with this deck. So first of all, I used my white howlite with this deck a lot, and also my sardonyx wand that I recently got, which, as I mentioned, sardonyx is a combination of all different types of onyxes, because they all come in different colours, and it's sort of leveled like a gradient almost, or something like that. So these are a few of my favourite cards from this deck, and also cards that I drew throughout this month. And I feel like every time I asked this deck, because it would be in my daily draws, sort of what was going on today, what were the energies that surrounded me, it was really on point. Like, it really had a focused and clear message for me, and it really did intuitively speak to me. I didn't have to use the guidebook at all, although I liked reading the guidebook and I found it quite fun, and I like a little tips on using your intuition as well, but I'll go into that when I talk about the guidebook. So this is an amazing flying fish, which is be yourself, which is a lovely message, I think. The third eye chakra. Another thing I have this deck to thank for is my sort of deeper interest and deeper study of the chakras too, which I kind of knew about and briefly sort of, because I have done yoga before, explored through yoga and meditation and stuff, but it never really got into it that much, and now I'm looking into working with my chakras a lot more. High flying. This is a gorgeous card. I didn't pull this card at all, but I think it's wonderful. You're exactly where you need to be. Of course, I'm going to show you this card again because I love it, and I did pull this card a couple of times. Intuitive and psychic prowess. Mr. Octopus. I also pulled this card, as you guys know, a couple of days in a row. I was having a little discussion about it on Ostara. This is Think With Your Heart. And as you can see, the illustrations of this deck are sort of what people would call similar to the Wild Unknown Tarot. I don't own the Wild Unknown Tarot, as you guys probably know. I don't feel super called to its imagery or anything like that, but I really love the imagery in this deck, and I think that's probably because it uses more colour. I'm a very person who's super attracted to colour and colourful decks, and I like busyness in lines, and I like to be able to read between the lines and read my own messages, and colour just helps me to interpret that a little bit better. Family. You're part of your own family, but you're also part of the larger cosmic family that we are all a part of, so I love this card. Now, another card that I didn't pull, but it was one of the reasons that I got this deck. Heart. Little foxy creature with a curly tail. I love spirals. If you guys don't know, spirals are like my massive esoteric symbol that I'm super drawn to, and I always tend to doodle spirals when I don't know what else to doodle. When I'm sitting there, you know, listening to a lecture aimlessly, I'll just be covering my page in spirals. Storytelling, which I love the message of this card, and I love this card because I am a very avid reader, endings, which I drew as well, and was really indicative of sort of a time that had come to pass in my life, and now it was time to close that door. So I really like this card too, and it is beautifully illustrated. All of the cards are beautifully illustrated. Expectation. Now this was a card that I drew quite often, and it always reminded me that sometimes the expectations that we put on ourselves and on others are a burden, and they are also, they aren't productive, and they aren't conducive to actually realizing sort of your authenticity or your true path. Sometimes we have this expectation that things need to be a certain way in order for us to sort of you know, feel happy or be productive, you know. Like recently with my sort of creative endeavors, I felt like I've had to approach it from a certain way because I expect that this you know, the end product is going to be amazing and blah blah blah. And you know, learning to let go of some of those expectations, which actually you know, hold you back rather than move you forward, has been really helpful, and this is one of the great cards for that. I love the fact that it's a snake that seems to be tying itself in knots, and that quite spoke to me on sort of my levels of anxiety and stuff like that surrounding the expectations I had of myself for this project. Sun's rays. I love this card because to me it's like all the bountiful and beautiful things of the earth that you are coming into being, your sort of material wealth and prosperity. You know, don't freak out. You're gonna have money. You're always gonna have money. It's fine. You know, just if you buy some things for yourself, don't feel guilty about it because you deserve those things, and relax because you know that it's going to be, you know, okay. You're always going to have money. So this was a really lovely message, and I got this card quite a few times too. Feeling and form. I got this card once and I absolutely love it because to me it represents like feeling your intuition and, you know, being in touch with your emotional side and being in touch with the phases of the moon. And the form is like yourself, but you're being, you know, you're encased in a body, you're encased in a form, or you're expressing your emotions, and it doesn't matter which form they take. So whether you're writing creatively, whether you're making art, you know, whatever you're doing, you're always expressing yourself through some form or another. And I really liked this one. Beginnings was another card that I drew a couple of times, and I love the imagery for this one of beginnings. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. As there are endings, there are always new beginnings, so this was an awesome card. Transition! I love this card, and I did pull it quite a few times too, and it matches my nails. How cool is that? The cicada is something that we have in avid abundance here in Australia, and around certain times of the year they will sing as they are getting ready to shed their outer shells and, you know, rebirth essentially. So I think the singing is actually their mating call, but there's also the rattling that occurs when they're trying to shed their sort of exoskeleton to form a new one. And they are very loud and very abundant everywhere in Australia. So the singing of cicadas is something that I know well of. And I loved that they were a symbol of transition in this deck too. And then last but not least, the heart chakra card. And I've been really working on trying to open my heart chakra a lot more lately. I feel like maybe I have some blockages there that are sort of, that's why I'm wearing green nail polish actually, because I just want to remind myself that it's okay to love and open to love, to this love to other people and compassion and kindness, and to really feel it from deep within your heart. And also when you sort of, as that other card is, think with your heart, you know, you make decisions that are more true to yourself and true to your actual inner calling and what the deeper and higher parts of yourself really want you to do. So this card has been wonderful in meditating with and opening my heart chakra. So those are my favorite cards, and also coincidentally the cards that I drew the most often in this deck. I'll show you a couple of the other cards that I love, but unfortunately they didn't appear for me in messages. Actually, this one did, I lie. Birth. I love that because I remember growing little bean sprouts just from the fact that you could do it by putting them on a cotton bud. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but it's really fun and really lovely to see something, seed something and watch it grow. I love doing that. Healing. A healing cup of tea. Stand Still. I love this card. I love the colors in this card and what it represents. Higher Knowledge is really cool. I'm not the hugest fan of owls, but I have slowly been really liking their imagery and what they mean. Oops, and that one fell on the floor as well. How do you guys like my new filming location, by the way? I think I prefer it better to this. I recently got myself a cushion to meditate on, so now I can sit on my floor and meditate. I really like sitting on the floor, and having bare feet too. It's one of my favorite things. Fun, which is cute. Yes, the other card that came up for me quite often was this one. Decisions. I really like this. This is like that card is like a really informal way of telling you that you need to choose a path to go down, and that these decisions, maybe they're not super life-changing, but that, you know, sometimes decisions have to be made. Like, you have to make a decision. You can't go about being indecisive for the rest of your life. So this was a really cool card for that. And I think that is about it. I have nothing but shining love and respect for the make and the artwork of these cards. Like I said, the cardstock is spectacular. I've never had a deck with as good cardstock as this, like, ever. Actually, the Zombie Tarot has the same similar really matte finish cardstock, and it is quite thick. So that would be the other deck with really awesome cardstock. But I haven't worked with that one yet. The box is just the cardboard box, but it is beautifully, sort of looks like it's hand drawn and decorated and recycled, I think, recycled paper as well. So it's one that I'm definitely going to be storing the deck in. Okay, and now onto the guidebook. So the guidebook is lovely and chunky and thick, and it's got like a nice big reproduction of the card on one page, and then a nice blurb about the card on the other page. This guidebook is not ordered in, you know, what order the cards are, like 1 to whatever, or by alphabetical order. Oh, and speaking of how many cards there are actually 50 cards in this deck, so there you go. So, yeah, so it's not ordered or anything like that, because she designed it so that you call to your intuition first, and then if you really struggle, you go to the guidebook. But I have a bit of a memory for these things, and I did notice, so if this is helpful to anyone, that the order that the deck comes in, like when you first open the deck and you see the order that the cards are in, that is the order that the guidebook is in as well. So I kind of remembered that all the, you know, chakra cards and stuff like that were towards the back, so they're also towards the back in the guidebook. It doesn't work with every card, but if you kind of remember that sort of stuff, then maybe you have a little key to working with this guidebook a bit better too, if it troubles you that it's not in order. But I usually found the page pretty easy to find anyway, because it's not a massive guidebook. Speaking of not a massive guidebook, the guidebook itself is 133 pages, and Lauren goes into intuition extras at the back here, which were really helpful, and I really liked these. She talks a bit about expanding and contracting your energy and practicing that in line with your intuition. So to trust and develop your intuition, she gives you some tips and sort of like how to center and how to ground yourself so that you can read with these cards. So here's expanding and contracting your energy, which was really cool and really helpful, and it's a really fun thing to do as well if you go out in public and you feel like you are maybe spreading your energy, or you're an empathic person like I am, and you kind of get really overwhelmed when you're by yourself out in crowds. And sometimes it's good to just draw in your energy and protect yourself, just so you don't pick up on everybody else's energies all the time, and it helps you not to be so exhausted and not so tired. And you basically just feel it. Like, that's how I would describe it, as it's a feeling. Sorry, I think there's a helicopter now somewhere over there. It's a feeling. Like, you can feel when you've expanded out your energies and you want people to pay attention to you and notice you. And then you can feel when you're really, you know, contracting your energies and you don't want anyone to look at you or notice you or anything like that. And I dress quite extravagantly when I'm going out, or I do my makeup and all that kind of stuff if I go out in the day. And it really works. Like, if I don't, even if I am dressed like loudly or whatever, if I don't want people to pay attention to me, I just, you know, pull my energies in, and they don't. If I do, then I pull my energies out and I, you know, communicate with people and all that great stuff. So it really works, and I really like that she put that tip in there. So the guidebook is great. It is written in this sort of font that sort of looks a bit like handwriting, which is really lovely but can sometimes be a little bit hard to read. And now I've got the birds as well. Birds, helicopters, what don't I have in this place? Anyway. So it can be a little bit hard to read, but you know, it's not that bad. Like I said, this book, and she recommends using your intuition first, and so do I. I still don't know what this little symbol is on the back here, that's on the back of the cards, and I think it could be something to do with the lotus or something to do with, I don't know, Lauren's, just her brand, I guess, but I think it's really cool and I like it. Yeah, I think that's all I had to share with you guys. I shared some of my experiences. I just felt recently like I said, I was working with too many decks, and this one sort of said to me, like, today now is our time to end our time together, and, you know, I'm working with the gods and titans and goddesses and sirens, oracles mashed together, and they are a huge powerful force, and I'm having such a great time with them, and a really nice intuitive experience communicating with each of the gods and goddesses that I draw daily, because I draw one god and one goddess daily is how I'm working with that deck so far. So that feels like it has such a strong punchy energy that maybe the other decks have been a bit overshadowed by it, and that while I'm working with that deck to get to know it and to get to know the gods and goddesses there, I should sort of focus my attentions on that deck, and the other decks maybe feel a bit uncomfortable around it. So far with the Shapeshifters Tarot, I haven't been going that great with it, unfortunately. Not that it doesn't read well, it does read really well for me, and I do pick up the meanings like this. I'm very intuitive with that deck, but I feel like something in it at the moment is missing. I'm not really sure what it is, and I'm hoping that it will resolve itself when we keep working together. But I've just, you know, I've had to put it aside for a little bit, but it is still on one of my altars, and I'm still paying attention to it. So I didn't really want to ramble on too much in a review video about one deck, about other decks, but there you go. Anyway, that was my review of the Alchemist's Oracle Connected and Free by Lauren from Inner Hue, and you can find it on her website too. I'll put the link down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have this deck and what your experiences are of it, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!